So in today's video, we're going to be taking a first look at and reviewing the brand new 360 camera from Insta360. This is the brand new X4, their latest and greatest 360 camera. We've been a big fan of this camera series from Insta360. We've tested out the X2, the X3, and now we're on the latest and greatest version, the X4. So there's a lot of awesome upgrades on this camera. So in today's video, we're going to be testing out this camera on our road bikes and filming it in some different situations, testing out to see how it performs. So first off, let's talk about some of the upgrades from the previous version to the newer X4. The first thing is the camera body is a little bit bigger than the previous version. It also has a newer and larger battery, so you get about 67% more battery life. The previous version could film in 5.7K resolution for about 45 minutes, so it wasn't quite long enough for hour-long criteriums if you wanted to film your races, for example. But this newer version with the 67% battery increase, it can film in 5.7K for over 2 hours. So one of the craziest features with this camera is it can now film in 8K resolution. So that's 360 revolution, that's for the full 360 video profile, but you can crop it down to a normal flat video profile, a 2D video at 4K 30 frames per second, which is just crazy to me. So I'm really excited to test this camera out and see the extra detail that we can get out of it. One of the other nice upgrades with this camera is the removable lens caps. So you just twist it off, and this is really nice. With the previous version, it was just the original lenses exposed like this, so it was really dangerous and vulnerable if you accidentally dropped your camera. These are the cheaper plastic versions that come with it. They also have some nicer, more expensive glass versions to get an even better image quality. We're going to be filming without the lens covers today though, because we're not doing anything too dangerous. And we've also got these nice little wind covers here over the microphone, so we'll be testing the default camera audio in today's video as well. One other difference is this little heat dispersing case here that covers the back side of the camera. Since this camera does film at a higher resolution, the camera does get a little hotter, so this helps with protecting you from touching the hotter part of the camera if you're filming in those higher resolutions for longer periods of time. So next we're going to be testing the camera in different filming situations. We're going to start with a few walking situations, and then we'll be doing some bike tests. So I have some timestamps down below and a bunch of sample footage from our different tests. So for our first test, I'll be filming in 8K 30 frames per second. I'm just going to be filming in 360 mode, and I've got this crazy long selfie stick. So first we'll do a little test with it on a shorter distance, and I think this is one of the best and most simple uses for this camera is just you have it on a short selfie stick and you can walk around like this, and the stabilization on this thing is amazing. It's always going to perform best in better light situations, so you don't really want to use this indoors. When you have nice sunlight outside, the quality on this is amazing. So yeah, when you're just walking around holding the selfie stick like this, you don't need to worry about which direction you're pointing the camera. It's going to be filming everything. So if something happens interesting to your right, you can quickly turn the camera over to that direction, and I love it. You don't need to think about anything with this camera. It's been focusing on me. Now I'm just going to walk by our bikes here with the beach. When using this camera, I like to, even though you do get 360 coverage of the lenses, I like to point the lens directly towards what I want to focus on, and that way you make sure you get the best quality possible. You don't have to worry about any stitching issues or anything like that. The crazy thing about this selfie stick is it extends really long, so it's almost like you have a mini drone, so you can get a cool aerial footage like this. But anyway, that's enough of the walking test. This is a cycling channel, so let's go do the bike test. For the first bike test, we're going to be doing a handlebar mount. So there's a bunch of different mounting options. This is one that comes with the Insta360 cycling kit. So it's just a little handlebar mount here, and you can adjust the angle with this part here. So I'm just going to tighten it on nice and tight here, and I've centered mine. So you can see I've mounted it here on the side of the handlebar. I've got this one angled over so it's more in the center, right above my bike computer. I'm angling mine a little bit forward, so I should get a good angle of myself, and also I should be able to get a nice forward angle. So here we are on the first handlebar bike test. We're going to be hopping off the beach here, so it's a little bit bumpy, kind of cobblestone kind of feel. So we'll see how well the stabilization works here, but one nice thing about this setup though is the large preview screen. Jeez. So instantly, right away, that's one of the great things about a 360 camera, is you catch everything that happens from every angle. So we almost just got crashed into right there. So we're in a little bit of a low light situation right now. We've got the sun behind these tall buildings. So normally when you film with these cameras, they're not gonna perform too well in the low light, but let's see how this one does. The other thing I really like about this setup is the large preview screen right here in the front. I can see exactly what I'm filming from every direction. We got Tunshan passing here on the right. And the really cool thing with these 360 videos is you control everything in the post edit. So you can control exactly where and when you want the camera to focus on, whatever. So for the next test, let's do a quick little audio test. This is the default audio, the default microphone on the X4 camera. We do have the wind guards on, so hopefully that should help a little bit with the wind noise, but I really don't have much expectation on action cameras with the microphone. I always use an external microphone, but just for the sake of comparison, this is the original audio. So what do you guys think? So we're gonna be turning left here. Always gotta be careful with some of these intersections here in Vietnam. Take it nice and slow. Let's do one more little audio test here. We're moving at considerably slower speed, so there should be less wind sound and the audio should be a little bit better. And we're getting a little mix of some sunlight, some shade right now. So how's the camera performing in the mixed lighting? Action cameras tend to always perform really good in good lighting, but it sounds like the lower light performance has also been improved on this camera. So really excited to test out and see what the footage looks like. So for the next test, we're gonna try using the chest mount, which is one of my favorite mounts with a traditional action camera. We'll see how this goes with the 360 camera, see if we can get some other unique perspectives. And I'm gonna be keeping the preview screen facing upward so I can still see where I'm filming. And even when I'm riding, I can control the direction here to make sure everything looks good in every angle. So I think we should be able to get a pretty cool perspective with this. All right, chest mount test, let's go. So here we are starting the chest mount test. The other really cool thing about this camera is when you go to edit it in post, you can export this video however you want it. If you want a more narrow video profile, you can do that. If you want the arms in the shot, I know I get a lot of comments on my videos about some people love my arms in the shot, some people hate my arms in the shot, but with this camera and the software, you can edit it to get exactly whatever you want. We're gonna be turning left here. Oh, 3 people going for the same spot. So we're gonna be doing a little bit of climbing and check out the city view from up here. One thing I do notice with this setup is when there's a few bumps and stuff, because of the heavier weight on the outside of the camera, it does start to move up and down a little bit. So that's something to be cautious about. I'd probably only use this setup if I'm doing like road cycling and I know I'm not bouncing up and down that much. Got a little doggy here. The dogs in Vietnam are pretty chill. So yeah, unfortunately, not the best lighting right now because the mountain ahead is blocking the sunlight. But on the preview screen, it actually looks pretty decent. One other downside of using the chest mount with the 360 camera is because it's so close to your body, one of the lenses is going to be facing towards you and you're not going to get the most beautiful of views. So you're probably better off in just using single lens mode if you're using the chest mount. On the other hand though, the other advantage of using the chest mount versus the bike mount is the chest mount is on your body, and usually any body connection is going to be more stable. With bumps and stuff, it's not going to have as many vibrations as it would being on your frame. Your frame absorbs all of the bumps on the road, so you'll definitely get some slightly smoother footage. All right, and speaking of on-body stabilization, next we're going to try holding the selfie stick to get some interesting shots. I really only recommend doing this on roads where there's little to no traffic, where you're not going at high speeds. We're just casually doing some light climbing right now with no traffic here, so we're going to try and get some interesting shots with the selfie stick. And this selfie stick is ridiculous. Yeah, check out how long that is. I'm not going to hold it like this while riding, but this thing is ridiculous. This is really the ultimate setup right here because you can control exactly where the camera's going, both in person and in post. We can also get some really cool lower angle profile shots like this. And when we hold it higher like this, it's kind of like we have our own little drone. We can see the city off in the distance on the side. Yep, that's it right there. That's the money shot. Beautiful city off in the distance. This is a really popular spot during sunset. The other cool thing, when we hold the selfie stick in front of us, we can get a nice backward shot with both of us suffering up the climb. We always love this ride though. Beautiful sunset views here. Perfect time of day to ride. And for the downhill here, we're gonna stick the camera back on the handlebar mount. Another way this camera would be useful is as a safety and security style camera. Back when I was a daily bike commuter, commuting 2 hours every day, I often would film my rides just for safety and security reasons. And cycling here in Vietnam, the traffic is really crazy. I mean, this thing can film for over 2 hours in 5.7K 360 video. So if anything happens, you'll be able to get the exact angle that you want for any kind of accident. So I think this camera is perfect for that kind of use situation. This camera does have a bunch of other modes. For example, the continuous loop recording, which is basically a drive cam kind of setting. It just continually records and deletes old video if you don't have a large enough storage card. But I will say, one of my favorite things about this camera, which makes it my favorite camera for cycling and filming these kinds of videos, is I can just have it on my bike, turn it on, and I don't need to worry about which direction to point the camera. I can just focus on talking, telling you guys what I'm seeing, talking about whatever story I'm talking about, and I can edit the camera in post. So right now we got a beautiful mountain scenery here on the right side, and if I want to turn and change and focus to the left side, the other city view, I can do that all in post. I don't need to worry about that while filming. And the best part is I can actually export both as separate videos. So I can basically get both shots with one camera. It's like having two cameras on at once, which is just really great for someone like me who films a lot of cycling videos. And nothing's worse than something interesting happens during your ride and you tried to film it but you missed it, you didn't get the right angle. And with this camera, you never really need to worry about that. Another interesting new feature with this camera is it can save video from 30 seconds before you start the video. So basically, it's just constantly always saving the data and erasing it every 30 seconds. And so when you go to hit the record button, it'll save the last 30 seconds before that. So if you did miss something interesting and you go to hit the record button, you'll be able to save what section you missed before you hit the record button, which seems really cool. I'm gonna have to experiment with that feature, but I do imagine that'll eat through the battery a bit quicker than usual. We got an interesting little cafe here to the side. A pink cafe with pink Toons pink jersey. Today's a pink day. Man, we are not getting much sunlight today though. So we're finishing up our video here by one of the other interesting spots here in Da Nang. We got this beautiful bridge here off to the side. Actually, for this section, I wanted to switch back to the selfie stick, just because one of the disadvantages of the frame mount is you're limited to the height, and sometimes you just want a higher profile to get the view. This is a really beautiful spot here with the bridge. So really easy to switch between the mounts though. Unfortunately, we have a lot of cloud cover tonight, so we're not getting the best of lighting. These cameras usually perform really, really well in the direct sunlight, and we've been filming a lot in the shade today. But I have high expectations. I think this camera will perform pretty well, even in these poor lighting conditions as well. There's a few other interesting points about this camera that I haven't mentioned yet, and one is the waterproofing. So action cameras usually waterproof. This one apparently waterproof to 10 meters, so shouldn't have any issues with rain or water or anything like that. Another exciting feature I really wanted to test out is the new data overlays. So now you can connect with either Garmin or with Apple Watches to get all of your ride data, so GPS data, heart rate data. You can have that overlaid on your ride. Unfortunately, I don't have Garmin or Apple Watch, so we're not able to test that feature ourselves right now. We're starting to finish up our ride and it's gotten quite a bit darker, so I thought I'd do one last little video test here. A low light, almost nighttime test here. So we're back in the city, back in the busy streets. A lot of the businesses are starting to turn their lights on. We're gonna be turning right here. There we go, there's our precious sun right over there. So finishing our ride over here, over by Dragon Bridge, a famous spot here in Da Nang. All right guys, we're gonna wrap up our video tests. Let us know down in the comments, what did you guys think of the brand new Insta360 X4? I think it's a pretty significant upgrade from the X3, and we're really excited to edit the footage and see how it turns out. Before we wrap up today's video, we want to say a special thank you to Insta360 for sending over this camera for us to test out and review, and also for sponsoring today's video. We've been partnering with Insta360 for the last few years, testing out their new cameras, and we're really impressed with how innovative they've been and just really pushing the limits on what action cameras can do. It's crazy to think that a 360 camera now can film in 8K, exporting to normal video in 4K. So really impressed with this camera and everything that Insta360 has been coming out with lately. So again, thanks as always for watching, guys. Go check out the camera links down below in the description if you're interested in getting a camera for yourself. If you purchase using our links, it also helps support our channel and you get an extra little discount or gift from Insta360, so it's win-win for both of us. Thanks again to Insta360, and thanks again to everyone watching. We'll see you next time here on Tubo Cruise.